Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khatam al-anbiya wal mursalin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Thank you for joining us at ShuraTV for the Prison Outreach Program, where we're so excited to introduce our dear brother, Muslim Imam and chaplain in the Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles, California, Hajji Hasan. And I want our beloved brother to initially open up and just tell us what led him to become a Muslim chaplain in the jail system, as well as a little about himself. Brother Hajji.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, my dear brother, Imam Abdul, Hafiz. Peace and blessings to everyone. I'm truly honored and thankful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with the opportunity to share a synopsis of myself and the work that's being done in the Los Angeles County Men's Central Jail in the city of Los Angeles, and why after all these many years of doing this work that I was inspired in the first place. I came in on an invitation, and I was so taken by all of the elements that I seen that was so overwhelming, and the needs that were needed to be addressed, and I took it upon myself to come back more than once, and the next thing I knew, I've been in there now 5.5 years. The time in which when I first came on board, we were pretty much doing things haphazard, just winging it, as we might say, but I began to see where we needed more structure, and I prayed hard about it, and I thank Allah I had a wife who supported my ideas, and we began to put structure so that the purpose would be, if anything had happened to me or anyone who was participating with this ministry in the jail, that the next person that came on board, they would have structure and they could take it and move forward, and anything that they wanted to add, they could do that, and to make it easier. So we established quite a bit of paperwork that was a benefit then, and it's even more benefit now. Some examples of that is that we put in place a data system that would allow the inmates, once they had accepted Islam and taken the Shahada, that it would be recorded and put in a system to where anywhere they went in the world, if anyone questioned them as to whether or not they were a Muslim, they could key into the data system, and it would let them know when they took their Shahada and who it was that administered the Shahada to them. And the real benefit as to why we wanted to do that is because we had been seeing in the communities where on the outside people were taking the Shahada, but there wasn't a real structured record being kept. And so we wanted to make sure that was in place. If a person got out of jail and went into the community and needed assistance, they could prove that they were a Muslim and that they were in hardship and they needed assistance, and they wouldn't be reluctant to do it. Also, the benefit of it is that if for some reason they passed away and the funeral needed to take place, the record would be there of them being a Muslim, and assistance would be given if their families couldn't afford it. And another thing is, if the fifth pillar of Islam, if they wanted to try to make Hajj and get their visa and go for pilgrimage, this would be a big help, because as you well know, most of us have to show proof when we're trying to go to Hajj.
Brother Hajji, you touched on a beautiful point on what happens when they take Shahada, but I'd like for the community to know the process of you leading many of them, and I know that the community doesn't know that you have personally issued out over more than 500 or 600 shahadas personally,
yes, yeah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. Through your junior service, which yes. is where you get a chance to bring out many of the men and introduce them to Islam. Can you kind of talk about that process of the Jummah services and how you educate them that leads them to where they make that decision to take their shahada?
Yes. Well, the first thing I do, of course, is I try to extract as much relative information that's related to the subject matter and their circumstance and situations, so that when the khutbahs are given, it's very meaningful for them. And then, of course, I add my own personal experience to it as well. But this requires a lot of research, going into the libraries, and also being on the computer and choreographing khutbahs that will be very relative to their personal situation, whether it be if they're a person who have a lot of issues in terms of trust, and where they have issues in terms of despair, or the demons are working on them and they have a difficulty trying to adjust with all of that. So we talk about that from the Quran, and all the different attributes that has to do with shaitan, which many of them, to begin with, we're not aware of. Good example in the basics of the shaitan is that people, even in general, and believers, think of shaitan as one who whispers, and that's basically what he does. All he does is whisper, and he call and you come. Well, shaitan has a lot more power than just whisper, and we try to educate them to that, so that once they're more informed about these things that shaitan can do, and with prayer and what have you, they're more successful in warding off many of the things that influence their flesh appetites and what have you, from without as well as from within. And also we talk to them the importance of the basics for Islam, which are our 5 pillars. We try to emphasize that to them and break it down, and the importance of it. But the key element that we really try to be consistent with throughout everything that we share with them out of the Quran is to strive for being a righteous person. You know, this is, we can't go wrong if we just keep that as a root to everything, and a sincere heart, because none of us are going to be perfect, but we should strive for perfection. And so we try to emphasize that to them. And then a lot of them, they don't feel good about themselves. They don't have a reason to feel good about themselves. So we educate them as to why it's important that they feel good about themselves and what have you. And then teach them about their history, you know, their past and what have you, even though they may not can identify with it to begin with. But once they begin to see that there has been great contributions by their ethnicity to the world and what have you, it opens them up to feel better about themselves and the possibility of what they can do individually. And so we help them with that. And we also try to educate them the importance not only of educating themselves in a variety of things, but educate themselves in terms of what does that really mean, and break that down. You know, knowledge is a wonderful thing. That's a great part of education. But just knowledge alone is not sufficient. They need to understand the knowledge, and then they also need to take it further and be able to find ways to implement the knowledge and understanding, and that's where wisdom comes in. So we try to give them all 3 facets of that, and it will broaden them. And then also we try to bring their value to bear, where they begin to look inward and discover what it is that they should be doing with their life. You know, what's my purpose? Everyone has something that they can contribute positively back into society, and once they begin to look at that and start thinking of where their talents are and where their interests are, what they like and what they don't like, and then be positive as to their efforts to express that, and then move with a sincere heart in prayer and righteousness, they will succeed beyond measure. You know, now how far they'll go, only Allah knows. But certainly it will remove them and put them where the soap and water is, and take them out of the filth in which they may have been wallowing in. So this is what we try to do.
Who can come to Juma? How do you
Yes, that's a very good question, Imam Abdul Hafiz. We open up our services to everyone. No one is excluded. Anyone, they can be and that's Gnostic, an atheist. They can be a Jewish believer or a Christian, or it doesn't matter. As long as they want to come and be respectful of the services that we offer, and that's another challenge as well. When I say be respectful, we'll talk about that a little. But primarily, Islam is for everyone. It's universal. It transcends all boundaries of race, creed, and natural origin, and it's a mercy from Allah, and it's the final revelation to humanity. So we try to make sure that everyone is not only welcome but felt welcome, and what have you. And then we sometimes, if time permit, we'll open up things before we get into Juma service to let inmates express themselves as to what's on their mind or what their experience has been, what caused them to come into the facility to begin with. Many of them, they never knew a father. Some never knew a father or a mother, and grew up like wild weeds, and they attached themselves to whatever was out there that made them feel as though it was family. So that's an uphill battle, but we try to show them that Islam is one brotherhood and what have you. So, and there is no distinction between any of us other than our deeds and our actions. This is very important. And so we work on doing that, and we've seen many who were staunch believers in other faiths, and once they began to see how we operate and what we offer from the Quran and how it's being offered and structured, they come once, they come twice, and so on, and the next thing you know, they're asking questions, they want books, they want to study, and so forth, and we try to provide those things for them, and then at some juncture they come back and they say, Brother Imam, Brother Hajji Hasan, I want to take the Shahada. So, alhamdulillah, that's just a wonderful thing. But we're just a tool and an instrument to offer. We can't know what the end results will be or how the seed will be planted. That's Allah's business. Okay? Sometime we may offer it and we never see the results with the particular ones that are there. But they may go on a year later and someone else will have something to say to them, and now they'll put some soil on the seed, and another source will come and put some water on it. Next thing you know, you'll have a plant that's coming forward, and then it gets stronger and stronger because the rain, the sun, and all of this is coming in on it, and the bright light of Islam. This is another thing that we don't want to underestimate. That's a mercy from Allah. The bright light of Islam is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the beauty of the Quran, which the whole of it is Allah's word, is that it don't need any defense for itself. It can defend itself on its own. This is the beauty of it. And any that want to make mockery of the religion or whatever, don't be swayed or feel as though you want to tuck your head or whatever the case might be. No, remain steadfast and know that truth shall prevail over falsehood, and evil will have its doom. And we don't have to worry. This is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we go forth with great confidence in knowing that the Quran is Allah's word, and to show you the strength of it, just a little bit of the strength of the Quran and Allah's word. The whole of the book is His word. Is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging man. He's created us, so He knows what our thinking may be. That to bring all your best scholars, whoever they may be, from wherever you can find them, and have them to take trees and use as pen, and then take the ocean, the waters, to use as ink, and let them write and write and write and write until they have exhausted all of the water that's available, and then back it up 7 times that amount. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they would not be able to expound beyond the wisdom and knowledge of Allah. Can't do it. So don't waste your time with it.
Let me ask you, how do you find getting support of other volunteers? Is there a need for others to join?
This is a real dilemma for us. I'm not happy to say, but it's the truth. Many want to do this work, but a lot of them are unable to do it simply because of the constraints that are put in that's required to be a volunteer. If you have a past record or whatever, depending on what it is, it may be 5 years before you can be cleared and considered to come in. And so that's a real problem. And then we have those that they want to do this work, but their time elements are not conducive to be consistent in doing it. But we've always put the word out for any that have an interest to do this volunteer work in the jails. I first try to emphasize to them what they're going to be basically faced with in wanting to do this work. They may have the knowledge in the Quran, and they'll be able to recite and recitations by heart and all of this, which is wonderful. And then have added expertise that they can come in and share, whether, their education. So all of this is a plus. But if you're thin-skinned and you wear your heart on your sleeve or on your shoulder, they will eat you up, because you're going to be tested, and not only once but several times you're going to be tested in the jail. And I've seen them come, and some of them even before the day is out, they say, I thought this was something that I might want to do, but it's not for me, because you're in the lion's den, and you're in there where the rubber meets the road. You're in there where there's prison inmates who are multiple murderers. So now, this is a real challenge. Some have said to me, well, when you get ready to do the salat, where are the gods while you're doing the salat? Because this is where you become vulnerable, because you're now doing sujood, you got your head down, you can't see everything, you're paying attention and concentrating on your prayer. But many of them are very worried that this is the time when they could be hurt and taken advantage of and what have you. So it's not for everybody. But for those who feel in their heart of hearts that this is something that they want to embrace, we welcome you to go through the process of letting us know and letting the director, Imam Abdul, Hafiz, know, and we can choreograph getting you your paperwork that you'll need, because the process has changed over the years. Presently, in order to come in even for 2 or 3 visits during the year, the process is different. You have to have your driver's license photoed, so that can be sent in, and also you fill out a questionnaire about your history in terms of any criminal activity that has to be reported, and also when your intentions are to come in, what date and what have you. And all this has to be done where time is made available to the Sheriff's Administration to process your paperwork and what have you. And then we recommend to the Sheriff's Department that once it's been processed, yea or nay, that they give us confirmation, so that if it's where it's good to go, we can take that confirmation and we keep a copy for ourselves, and we make sure that the recipient that wants to come in and volunteer gets a copy. And why that's so important is that it's been upgraded to where we emphasize the importance of the administration making sure we have that, because in the past we've had where they were cleared verbally, and then when they get there with their driver's license and expecting on that date to be able to come in, the one where we check in to register and everything and turn your driver's license in, they said, we don't have no record of you being able to come in today and what have you. Now, it's on a Friday, and it's in the afternoon, early part of the day. Most of the administration is gone home or whatever, so there's no way to get them to come in, so they have to turn around. They've lost that whole time. So now we've made it to where we get a letter confirming the situation, because even when here late we've gone and they pull the record, they don't have anything to show, but then we can shove the paperwork to show where they actually were confirmed to come in.
And for those who are not able to come in or
Yes.
to volunteer, what are some of the ways that they can support the ministry or support the men as they come out?
Yes.
What you would like to say?
Well, this is a real crucial area, because if we don't have that connected and doing the job, it just sets it up for them to be a failure. A lot of them, if they're not strong, they end up coming right back into jail like a revolving door. So we have those that are on the outside, and we try to connect them with those sources so that they will have shelter and they'll have a chance to get into a job application and entrepreneurial assistance and start their life all over again. So these are very important components that are connected with what we do on the inside with those that are on the outside. A lot of them are Muslims who have gotten out, and they contribute their charitable efforts to assist those that are getting out. And so far it's been moving along and progressing. But more needs to be done, especially from our community at large. Let me say something about that just briefly. This Islamic Church Council of Southern California, thank Allah for them, and the chairman, Dadabar, and all of the chair people and the clergies and the clerical people and the director, Imam Abdul, Hafiz, with this prison outreach program, and all the ones who assist in helping. But we need the community to take a long, hard look at how we can do more. If it's a penny, if it's a nickel, if it's a dime, whatever it is, and the prayers, and the smile, any charitable thing that we can do to advance this prison ministry. Because the jails are full, brothers and sisters. They're in there like sardines. The Men's Central Jail is the largest jail in the United States. It was built back in the 60s to house 15,000 inmates. And now, as we speak, we're in the area of 18,000 inmates. That's a lot of influx. And then it's understaffed, so that puts added pressure and what have you. But the inmates, they need many things that the community can help to address in making things better with them in terms of their growth and development. Any thing that you can do with books, literature, DVDs, they're all healthy things that you know that you have that's just sitting around collecting dust. We've already been approved, thank Allah, with the vision by the Sheriff's Department to have a library. They've already approved it. It's just that when we do it, we want to make sure it's done in a professional manner, to where the purpose would be any inmates will be able to go in and retrieve books and study, as well as the deputies that are working at the facility, so that they can become more educated as to about what Islam is and so forth. That would be a big learning curve for them as well. And then other clergies that are in there. Many of them, they think that they have the right message, but then perhaps with study and cross-checking and varying themselves between the different religions, they'll come up with a better understanding about Islam and respect, even if they don't embrace it. So we need that, and we need the funds, because the Qurans, we can never have enough Qurans, we can never have enough kufis and prayer beads, where they can do dhikr and what have you. Yes, so this is a real plus for us. And who's the beneficiary anyway? When we start really looking at this, we are the Ummah, the communities. We are the beneficiary and what have you when we do this and what have you. We don't want the world filled with people who are abstract to a healthy and moral life and what have you. So these things that we are trying to do, the dawah and everything, is to improve the society and to improve the well-being of the mind and hearts of those that are incarcerated. So it's a win-win situation for us. So think of it in this way: which of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ye or will I deny? This is what we need to do.
Before concluding, inshallah, what would you say are the challenges moving forward with the pandemic, as well as the challenges with continuing to do this work, inshallah?
Yes, oh my, this is really something. Now, a lot of the challenges are going to be based around what are the circumstances, the situations as they unfold. So it can't be just an ironclad set of rules and regulations that we want to adhere to. It has to be where it has flexibility to it, because this thing has a life of its own, and it doesn't warn you as to how it's going to unfold from one minute to the next. But right now, in order to go in to the facility, which it wasn't before, now as clergy, and that's all clergy, by the way, they have to have a mask for sure. And they have to keep the social distancing as much as they possibly can. In some situations, that's totally impossible. Can't do it. So you're going to be vulnerable to some extent in terms of interacting with inmates in there, because that jail was not designed for social distancing and what have you. If you social distance when you're walking the roads, where there's one cell after another, and they're joined by just a wall, and then there's a gate and a door and so on. If you get 6 feet away from one, you're going to be within 3 to 4 feet of the next person that's adjacent to them. So it's impossible to keep 6 feet of distance. That's when you're walking the roads. Now, when they come out as a group for a chapel service, where we can actually do a Jummah and we can have Salat and what have you, the new ruling is that the inmates can't be more than 10, preferably 8, and they're going to have to be one row separate from them from the other, and only 2 on a bench 6 feet apart. So what that's doing in affecting the service is that where you might have been having 25 or 30 people come out, now you only got 8 or 10, and they're Muslim, so now you got to rotate. And then there's no guarantee that out of the 25, that might be 3 or 4 visits that you can see them within a month. It might be 6 months before you can see that whole group and what have you. So that's a challenge and what have you. But for me, I'm trying to work around the situation to where whatever the health and service people put forward and the sheriff's department put in as official rules and regulation, that we adhere to them. And so it's not in our hands in terms of exactly how things are going to be in the ministry. But in the meantime, we look forward to doing what we can, where we can, and when we can. And that's kind of what that situation is right now. And let me also add this. I just got the latest news here in a text from Men's Central Jail that about 70% of those that we see in the Men's Central Jail are being quarantined right now as we speak. So that's not going to happen. And then the other thing is that we have those that are called transcendites. That's a whole nother group and what have you. I've had caught a lot of heat from many Muslims in the MCJ when they found out that I was going there to offer Islam, they said, "Why are you going there? Why would you bother? Why are you going there?" So I had to educate them about this. It's not necessarily by choice as much as it is in following the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The religion is universal and it's for everybody. No distinction was made that you go here. I said, what if I didn't, I took it upon myself not to go where I know there's those inmates and they are multi-murderers and what have you. And I exclude them. I said, I can't exclude anyone. I said, we have to go and offer, and then also in knowing who it is, the audience that we're talking to, make sure we explain to them in crisp detail, without doubt, that they know what the consequences are for the lifestyle and the behavior and the belief that they have, that it's okay in what they're doing, because it's not okay. And we let them know what the results can be if they maintain that, and then lose out on having the opportunity, while the door is still open, to change their life and repent and make amends and what have you. So we have to do that. And then the good part about it, because we don't know what the results will be afterwards, but the good part about it is we've been doing that, and we've had many of them to come forward and take the Shahada and what have you. And they've been consistent in wanting to come out, and they study, and they put in the prayers and everything. So we can't judge. We don't know. It can be a scholar who can quote the Quran front and back and may be one of the first to be in line to go to hell. We don't know. Only Allah knows and what have you. So let's not, be so, to where we feel as though we're on the right side of everything, and anything that's not on the side where we are, that, they're going to hell. As long as they have breath of life, and Allah is still has a door open for them to change, then we should be trying to help them get to where the soap and water is.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan, Imam Hajji Hasan, for sharing with us the work in which you do in the Main Central Jail here in Los Angeles. As you mentioned, one of the largest jails in the United States, as well as one of the largest jails in the world. And may Allah continue to bless you and reward you and your team for the shahadas and for the follow-up that you do consistently in working with the administration in the jail system, as well as with the other clergy in an interfaith relationship. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this program, and thank ShuraTV. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ameen.